Alright, let's see if we can't find the stream. Hopefully with everything warmed up, this shouldn't take too long to upload to the channel. Hopefully. There it is there. Game audio is working, so is my audio. Stream's up, chat's up, we're all good to go, and there's a timer, so that's fantastic. So everything's now working. That's great. So hello everyone and welcome to round 6 of the PlayStation Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm LaneEveringham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Constructed in 2008 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, this 5.06 kilometre 23 turn circuit is home to not only the first ever F1 night race, but also the longest race on the modern Formula 1 calendar. Being a street circuit, concrete walls line the edge of the racetrack, meaning that even the slightest mistake can be severely punished. With so many technical corners, such as the infamous Singapore Sling at turn 10 and the fast edge of grip final corners of turns 22 and 23, there are plenty of areas where drivers can make mistakes. Another characteristic with it being a street circuit is that it is relatively difficult to overtake. That means qualifying will prove to be an important factor for achieving victory tonight. The best overtaking opportunity, without a doubt, is with the help of DRS down towards turn 7. There are other DRS zones leading into turn 1 and turn 14, so we may see some passing in those spots, but for the most part, overtaking will happen at turn 7. The massive length of this race, coupled with the circuit's sheer difficulty, makes this arguably the most demanding race of the whole season. A proper test of speed, consistency, and endurance. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Spain, as somebody's had a moment coming out of the pits. That must be Hillers in the Mercedes spinning out a pit exit. He gets going again nice and safely. But penalties. There were a few incidents reported. There was one between GeForce Zach and Hillers that resulted in no further action. One of the biggest or most noteworthy parts of the race was a collision between GeForce Ford and GeForce Crichton, who are in the top 2 of the championship. The collision happened at turn 8 at Barcelona, and the stewards decided that Zach Crichton would be given a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point for that collision. That doesn't affect his finishing result, though. He is still the victor of the Spanish Grand Prix. There was also a second incident between Hillers and GeForce Zach, the result being that GeForce Zach will receive a 5-second time penalty next to his name. And in the final incident report between Plebs and Spilly, the result from that is a 5-second time penalty for Spilly. Funnily enough, everyone with the time penalty didn't move from their original finishing position, so the final results from last week stand. In the Drivers' Championship, GeForce Crichton is leading on 124 points, followed by GeForce Ford on 119, 15 points separating the top 2. Next 2 drivers are GeForce Leo and Spicy Salami, as he's now known. The 2 McLaren drivers, they're on 86 and 73 respectively. Plebs is next on 64, and he actually won the race on Sunday night for the Elite Series, so he's in good form here at Marina Bay. PU6 is Spilly on 63, just 1 point behind Plebs. Then I Contrast is next on 53. Darren 11 is P8 on 38. Then Isaac Kush on 30. Then Wogboy rounds out the top 10 on 28. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 159, followed by Ferrari on 137. 3 points behind them is Mercedes AMG on 134 points. Next is Alpine on 92, then Red Bull Racing on 69, Alfa Romeo on 68, and AlphaTauri on 62, so a tight fight between those 3 teams. Williams are a little bit behind them on 51, followed by Haas on 45, and at the bottom of the table is Aston Martin on 16 points. That's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on qualifying, and this is typically where I introduce my co-commentator for this evening, who would normally be GeForce Pato, but unfortunately he's occupied. But I do see him in the chat. Hello, Marco. Nice to see you watching along. So, but yeah, he's not here in the comm box, unfortunately. It's just me alone tonight, but that's okay. Done many a solo commentary stint here at this rather tedious racetrack at times. Singapore, oh, as Gilles has a moment and a half coming out of turn 17, just clipping the wall on the outside and smashing the wall on the inside as GeForce Leo jumps to the top with a 36.4. Fortunately for Gilles, he's still in qualifying. No major damage on that Mercedes either. And it looks like, while he's not completing this flying lap, he just invalidated through the final 2 corners. He would have done a 38.8, which would have put him second slowest out of the time set behind Chip. As Grimmy's retired... Where have you retired? Oh, you retired there. How on earth have you pulled that off? He's done it at turn 19. Look at him. He's absolutely face planted into the wall there at turn 19. How has he pulled that off? He might have had help. It's the only way I could possibly explain that is that he had help going into the wall as GeForce Zach goes literally 1,000th of a second slower than his teammate Contrast. Pretty tight between those two. As Spicy jumps up to the top with a 1 minute 36.455. Wogboy getting ready, it seems. Oh, he almost put it into the wall there at turn 8. Got very, very close to the concrete wall on the outside of the right-hander. Karma on the flying lap, making his way around the hairpin of turn 13. He'll open DRS. No, he won't. He's not on a push lap. He's on an in lap. Fair enough. Plebs, are you on a push lap? What does your battery say? Battery says yes, he's on a push lap. Heading up towards the middle sector split into turn 14. I mentioned this earlier. Turn 14 is a potential overtaking spot, but you don't see a great deal of action into the corner. A lot of the time we'll see passing at turn 7 and maybe turn 1 as well. Into turn 18 underneath the grandstand, around turn 19. Around turns 20 and 21. Be careful of those sausage curbs on the inside. They're quite nasty. Up against the wall at the exit there of the left-hander. Around 22 and 23 to cross the line to jump up to P4 with a 1 minute 36.689. Yellow flags about in the final sector. Ferrari, I believe, going slowly. As it stands, it is a McLaren 1-2, Spicy from GeForce Leo. Not much separating the two cars either. 21 thousandths of a second separating them. And Crichton, he's not too far behind either. He is 29 thousandths behind Spicy, and he is 8 thousandths behind Leo. Tight between the top 3, that's for sure. I imagine a few more drivers will join the party. Plays P4, followed by ACW. Isaac Kush coming out of pit lane. This is his home race. So Isaac will be looking to try and get a nice result here. His home circuit. 10 Sandals P7, followed by Ferrari Pro. Then Spilly. Vision will round out the top 10. Top 10 separated by 0.8 of a second. Considering how technical and how long this lap is, that's actually quite remarkable. With only 0.8 separating the top 10. Wogboy has invalidated this lap. He doesn't have a red fuel icon, so I believe he's going to have a go here. He'll come through turns 20 and 21. Will he switch on his battery? Let's find out. If he does, we're right on board with him. He does switch on his battery. We're right on board. Give you a proper tour of this 5-kilometre racetrack. Down the main straightaway with DRS open. Will he shift into 8th gear? No, he revs it out in 7th. Down to 4th gear for turn 1. Through turn 2, using a healthy amount of curb. Around turn 3. Getting a nice exit here. Around turn 4, this little left-hander is classified as a corner on the official track map. Around turn 5, we get nice and close to the wall. Too close, in fact. I think he hit that. Certainly looked like he hit that. Around turn 6, up towards turn 7. Be braking just after the 100-metre board, bringing him down to 3rd gear, short shifting to 4th as he heads up towards turn 8. Now for Towery in front, hopefully, yes, they get out of the way. Well done there. Around turn 9, then up towards the infamous Singapore sling. A lot less nasty than what it was originally on the 2008 layout, but now it's quite a flowing section. You do have to be a bit worrisome with the curbs, though, through that section. Into the hairpin of turn 13. Nice wide line. He's trying to get a nice exit here, but I reckon he missed the apex by about a foot, maybe a foot and a half. But he's currently up by 1.3 seconds. Around turn 14, now up towards the cascade of 90, turns 15, then turns 16, 17, just about half a dozen 90-degree corners here. Turn 18, underneath the grandstand, around turn 19, then into turns 20 and 21. Importantly, there you get a nice run out of 21. You got a short blast up towards the final two corners of turns 22 and 23 as he goes across the line. Not quite. And now he crosses the line. There we are. Now, 40 getting ready for a flying lap. That's not a low... I almost confused that for a low fuel icon. No, he's got lean available to him, so he's on an out lap getting ready for a flying lap. He's making his way down the main straightaway now towards turn 1. Now, 40, he had a less than ideal race last week in Spain, so he'll be looking to bounce back here at Marina Bay. Nice run out of turn 3. Look at all the racetrack he used there at the exit of turn 3, just trying to carry as much speed around the corner as possible. Right up towards the wall at the exit of turn 5, as Isaac Kush, home hero, jumps up to pole position. 1 minute 35.977. Purple to the first sector goes 40. Around turn 7, up towards turn 8, down to third gear. Does he short shift? Yes, he does. Right up against the wall once again at turn 9. Nice exit there, using every millimetre of racetrack. Fantastic stuff. Into the Singapore Sling. 5th gear, back on the accelerator, brings it down to 4th gear. And we get this kind of worthless camera angle as he goes over the Anderson Bridge into the hairpin of turn 13. 2nd gear, short shifting to 3rd. Does he short shift again? Yes, he does. Trying to find traction at the exit of the tight hairpin. Up towards the middle sector split, the clock says... Well, he's up. He's most certainly up by 12 seconds. You know, a small improvement. Small one. Up towards turn 15. 6th gear, down to 3rd. Using plenty of curb on the inside around turn 17. Turn 17 you have to be somewhat careful of now. There's a nasty inside curb there. If you ride too much of it, the car will bottom out and you will most likely be thrown into the outside barrier. Around turns 20 and 21, up towards the final two corners of the racetrack. Turns 22 and 23, 6th gear, keeping it flat around the final corner. Crossing the line and jumping up to pole position. Beating Isaac Kush by no fewer than 12 thousandths of a second. Leo appears to be on an in lap. He's currently P3. ACW, I think, has just finished a flying lap. He's P4. Salami is going to finish a flying lap here. Jumps up to P4, overtaking ACW with a 36.279. Championship leader Crichton is currently up by 3 3/4 tenths of a second. As he exits turn 21, up towards 22 and 23, carrying plenty of speed around the final two corners. Crossing the line is P4 for Crichton, 1 minute 36.150. So currently only 2 cars in the 35s as it stands. It's 40 and Izzat Kush, P1 and 2. Leo's just a little bit behind them. What's that? That's about a tenth and a half behind Izzat Kush. They'll be difficult to find, I'd imagine. To string together a really nice lap around here is not easy. Luke, you want a flying lap, bud? What does your battery say? Are you using battery here? Let's find out. He is using battery. Yet to set a lap time. Currently P16 on the board. Round turn 19 up towards 20 and 21. You can see they're being nice and safe with the curbs. They can be quite nasty through that section. He's coming into pit lane anyway. Wogboy on an out lap. I contrast on an in lap. Currently P12. I think everyone else here is on in laps, from the looks of things. Another tidbit about this racetrack, because it's so long, out laps and in laps take forever. So you need to be very wary of the clock. You don't want to run it down too far. Otherwise you might leave yourself with not enough time to actually begin a final flying lap. Oh, I see, Gavin. I see. So Grimmy had a technical issue and he just drove straight into the wall. That is, well, put it politely, he got shafted by his own equipment. And that sucks when that happens. Fortunately for someone like myself who's on a pad, that's less likely to happen, but not impossible. I did have one scary moment in a league race where at Abu Dhabi, coming out of the hairpin, my controller battery died, and I don't know why, but how it worked for me, there's a solid 5 seconds where I can't do anything, and the card's just, well, the card does the input you did before it died. And on a straightaway, it means I'm going full throttle up towards turn 8, and fortunately, I was able to chuck in the charger cord to try and turn the controller back on. Completely overshot turn 8, but I managed to keep it out of the barrier. It's the first time I explored that runoff area at Abu Dhabi. It was quite a nerve-wracking experience, not going to lie, being unable to do anything for a solid 5 seconds. Quickly scrambled for a charger cord, hook the whole thing up, then brake as hard as I humanly could to not crash into a wall as Wogboy invalidates his lap. Nice of you to say that, Golf, by the way. I do like to put a lot of effort into this. But no, I do it for the passion of it all. I love me motor racing. No, this is a hell of a lot of fun. Now, everyone's on their final out laps of this session. You can see the massive train just pouring out of the pits. One after the other, getting ready for this final part of qualifying. Now, drivers do have to be a little bit careful because of how many people have come out right at the end of this session. Look at the leaderboard, just outlap. It's just covered in it. But people do need to be careful. They need to give each other enough space so then when they're on a lap, they don't get impeded by the car in front. This actually turned out to be a bit of an issue in the Elite Series. And this man on screen, from what I noticed from Elite, got really screwed over thanks to traffic. I don't think he'll get screwed over the same way tonight, thankfully. Now we'll keep our eyes on those at the top of the board. Crichton, Spicy, he's coming around turn 13. Leo's getting ready to set his final flying lap. He crosses the line with just over 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the session and makes his way down towards turn 1. 5th gear, clobbers the inside curb. Around turn 2 and up towards turn 3. 4th gear. Doesn't bother to use 3rd gear unlike some of the other drivers I've seen. Just carries 4th gear, gets nice traction out of the hairpin. Around turn 5, 4th gear again. Right up towards the wall on the exit as he opens DRS. Heads towards turn 6 and more critically heads towards turn 7. Big braking zone here, coming down from 300 kilometers an hour to an apex speed of about 134 up towards turn 8. Now, does he hit the apex here? He most certainly does. Beautiful run through turn 8. Isaac Kush getting ready to set his final flying lap. He crosses the line and begins it now. G-Force Ford, similar story around the final 2 turns, and he'll begin his final flying lap. G-Force Crichton, he's heading up towards the first sector split. The clock says for him, he's up by just under 1/10 of a second. Meanwhile, Isaac Kush has invalidated through the opening 4 corners. His session is done. He cannot challenge for pole position. The man currently occupying that spot is heading up towards the first sector split. What does the clock say for G-Force Ford? It says he's up by 45 thousandths of a second. Leo's making his way through the final sector. He's currently down to his personal best. He needs to find essentially a 10th and a half here in this one final sector. He's right up towards the wall there too at turn 21 through 22 and 23. Is it enough for pole? The answer is no. He improves by just under a 10th. Crichton, meanwhile, he's purple. He's up by 2/10 to the middle sector. He's looking to improve and improve by quite a bit. Underneath the grandstand, around turn 19, up towards turns 20 and 21. 3rd gear, modulating the throttle nicely, short shifting to 4th. Lovely traction out of that chicane. Around turns 22 and 23 for the final time in qualifying. And Crichton jumps up to pole with a 35.790. But 40 has a response. He's currently up by just over a 10th and a half. Can he find a bit more time in this final sector through 20 and 21 up towards the final 2 corners? Has he strung it all together? Around 22, around 23, up towards the line. He improves by only a 10th. He wasn't able to improve in the final sector, so he stays P2. ACW crosses the line, stays P7. 10th Sandals, he invalidated his final flying lap. His qualifying session is done. So it's GeForce Crichton who will start from pole position. 1 minute 35.790. That's the pole time here at Singapore. Look at that, 66 thousandths of a second around a racetrack this technical, this demanding. It is insane, the level of competition in Pacific Tier 1. So the two championship protagonists are starting first and second. Third place goes to Isaac Kush, followed by GeForce Leo, F1 Ferrari Pro, then Spicy, ACW, 10th Sandals, Plebs, and Spilly rounds out the top 10. I Contrast P11, followed by Vision, Luke, Zach, Hillez, Karma, Bags Liddell, Chip, Wogboy, and Grimmy. With his unfortunate technical issue, we'll have to start from the back. So there we are. Qualifying over. Interesting one at that. Yeah, they're insane, Broke Vegan. They are seriously insane. They're aliens. All of them. Just the pace, the accuracy, the talent, it's just beyond me. Those are full wet tyres in that Mercedes garage. Can you see that in the bottom left? Those are full wet, blue ring, wet weather tyres. That just changed to mediums. But why were they there in the first place? That's just weird. Unless we have wet weather conditions on the way. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Because, yeah, that's just a bit peculiar that wet weather tyres were just sitting there in the garage. Strange. But as you can see, it's nice and dry for the start of this race. No wet weather whatsoever. Drivers will now set off on their formation lap. Now, let's see who is starting on what tyre. Well... Okay. Isn't that just a convincing tale? Well, I think this was the case in Elite. Everyone started on the higher tyre. Except a certain someone, P11, decided to do something different. Mr. High Contrast here, YouTube sensation himself, is starting on the medium tyre. He goes against the trend. He don't need no hard tyre. He's a happy, independent, medium compound tyre user, right there. There's a predicted pit stop strategy as well. So the pit window, lap 18 to 24. Nice and simple. Oh, hello. Who's that? Williams? Is it Ferrari Pro? It is Ferrari Pro. You're about out of position, mate. What have you done? He is behind 10 Sandals in front of Plebs. That's Plebs there. Hello, Plebs. As I mentioned as well during qualifying, that man actually won the Elite race in on Sunday night. Drove quite well. Oh, wait, no, I've just pieced it together because, yeah, okay, that's the AI in control. So, Ferrari Pro left the session and now his AI is just dawdling about the circuit. I understand now. I compute the information that has been given to me. There you go, there you go. So he left and now he's rejoined. Good. Because I was trying to work out why Plev sent another invite to the group. So, that's why. Alrighty. And another note as well. Fantastic to see 20 cars on the grid. That's really awesome to see once again. Tuesday's tiers just failing to disappoint, really. It's always cool to see a full field of cars. So, Crichton, starting from pole position, he'll be lining up on the racing line. So that's the cleaner side of the racetrack, as Leo's disqualified himself. So theoretically, Crichton should get a better start, but 40 has the inside line down towards turn 1. So if he gets a better start, He has the whole shot down the inside to try and take the lead. All 20 cars are lined up, ready to race here. We got 31 long, tedious laps in front of us and 5 red lights. A jump start for Vision. And we are underway here at Singapore. It's a nice start from Crichton. It's a nice start from the Alpine in the background. It's a nice start from Plebs as well. As they go through turn 1, through turn 2, into turn 3. Crichton in the lead. 40 in second, then Isaac Cushion third. Heading around turn 4, up towards turn 5. A bit of midfield shenanigans. Yellow flags are out. It's Vision who has dropped to the back. He might have done that deliberately because he does have a drive-through penalty. Oh, into the wall hard goes G-Force Zach. Caught that briefly in the background. He has gone hard into the wall. Head first into it at the exit of turn 5. He is out of the race. He couldn't even make the first sector. And we have a virtual safety car. Oh, and we got some stuff going on here. Grimmy has spun. That might be a technical issue again, hampering him. There we go. We got drama in the first 5 corners of the race. What a surprise at Singapore. This is what you normally see around the street circuit. Through the middle sector, the midfield just trying to sort themselves out. Get themselves into a position, then try and find their rhythm. Because you need rhythm around the racetrack like this. And out in front, Crichton leads 42nd. Isaac Cushion third. Then GeForce Leo Plez and Spicy Salami. Up towards turn 18, underneath the grandstand. Now, what would Crichton's plan be here? Is he going to try and break away from those behind? I reckon that would be his gameplay. That's a very Crichton thing to do. Yellows are out again, and I think it's Chip. It is Chip. He's almost put it into the wall on the outside of turn 18. Down towards turn 1. The gap between the top 2, half a second. Make that 0.4 of a second now. Gap between P2 and 3 is 1 second. So I reckon Crichton and Ford, they're going to push now. Try and build up a gap to those behind. That way they can put themselves in a really strong strategic position throughout this race. Izzat needs to be on top of their game, try and close the gap between the top 2, but we know how quick Crichton and 40 are. GeForce Leo in P4, he's got Plebs behind him, 0.3 behind in P5, Spicy P6 and ACW and Ferrari Pro. 10th Sandals P9 and I Contrast rounds out the top 10. Not too much happening here in the midfield. Everyone, as I suspected, is just trying to sort themselves out. Bit of a time glitch here between Spilly and Luke, but that should fix itself on the next lap, hopefully. Through the chicane, over the Anderson Bridge, up towards the hairpin of turn 13. Ferrari Pro trying to close in on ACW just a little bit. ACW pulls away just that little bit more, thanks to the great traction he has in that car. So now we've got a train of cars forming. Got P4 all the way back to P10 from what I can tell from the interval. And we got Isaac Kush, who's sort of in a lonely P3 as it stands. And then the top 2, Crichton and Ford. And Crichton has been unable to pull away from Ford. Ford has kept up with the championship leader. So there's going to be a duel at the front. Crichton versus Ford once again. And it's now lap 3. So DRS is now enabled. And 40, well, he's well within a second, isn't he? In fact, he's right up Crichton's gearbox. So I reckon he's going to go for a move here down the straightaway towards turn 7. Around turn 5, 5th gear on the exit here. Crichton gets nice traction, but he don't have DRS. So 40's closing in. Not by enough, though, to really challenge into turn 7. So Crichton hangs on to the lead for a moment, but he's going to have a go here down the inside at 8. Oh, and they both get around. Fantastic driving. An opportunistic send there from Ford, but Crichton saw him coming. Left the door wide open, so then they wouldn't make contact, and they both got around the corner. Fantastic stuff. And they hadn't lost time to Izzat either. Still looking pretty good there. ACW and Spicy side by side in a place you shouldn't be. Side by side contact, I believe, between the two cars. That book, Spicy, and now Ferrari Pro is in this battle. Into the hairpin. around turn 13 as Spilly and I contrast battle for P10. I believe Spilly got contrast there around the outside. I think, looking at the leaderboard. Ferrari Pro sending it deep around the outside. He put it into the wall. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, and more cars into the wall. That's the Ferrari of Bags Liddell. And we got yellow flags out again. Karma with front wing damage. Wogboy with a complete front wing. Hilles. This angle doesn't help. No, his front wing looks okay. Grimmy, what about your wing? Yeah, your wing looks okay. Bags, though, he spun out at that corner, but didn't cop any damage. Lucky him. Yeah, when you spin out here, tends to result in damage. Into the pits goes both McLarens. They're both in. This is early. This is really early. Must be damage, or is it? Yeah, it's damage. So Leo has damage. He needs to get that fixed. There goes Ferrari Pro. His DRS is enabled. We're back on the green flag racing. We better go back up to this. 40 closing in, up towards turn 7. Crichton covers. Around the outside looks a Ferrari. Crichton, forces him wide. They're side by side up towards turn 8. 40 trying to get by the Mercedes, but can't do it. Crichton hangs on. Only just so hangs on to the lead. Is at P3, admiring the show in front, just not close enough to be involved in it. There are the top two. There is at Plebs in P4, a bit of a lonely P4 there. He's 3.6 seconds behind the next car. Then it's ACW in 10. Hilles and Luke battling for position. Hilles gets by Luke before the Singapore sling. Through the chicane. Oh, you see Wogboy trying to find a way. Spinning goes Hilles. He spun on the bridge. He's out backwards. Nice bit of driving here, using reverse gear. Gets himself pointed back in the right direction, and Luke letting everyone through. Luke must have an issue. Either that, he just doesn't want to get involved in the fight. Either or. Alright, back to the leaders, shall we? Crichton and Ford, half a second separating the two. That gap is going to shrink down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Not by a great deal, but just by a little bit. Around the hairpin of turn 3. Crichton gets a nice run, but 40 gets a nice exit. Closes in on the Mercedes once more. Down the straightaway we go. DRS open, but no battery being used. No overtake from 40. He doesn't want to attack now. He's waiting for his moment, rather than going at it every single lap. Going to play a wiser game at this stage of the race. Luke is into the pit lane, so I reckon he did get damage. 10 Sandals, 7/10 behind Spilly, then I contrast following suit in P8 on those medium tyres. Hasn't made massive gains, but he is up from where he started, up 3 positions, I'm pretty certain, from 11th to 8th. In fact, I can check that. Yep, up 3 positions. Wogboy and Grimmy have made up the most amount of places out of anybody. Up 10 places each, from P19 to P9 and P20 to P10. Demonstrating what keeping out of trouble does in the early laps of the race. Bags up 6 positions, remarkably, even after that spin he had at turn 14. Biggest losers, Leo, Ferrari Pro, down 10 places each. Biggest loser of them all is Spicy, down 11. Shocking start for him, but it's a long, long race in front of us. Plenty of things are going to happen over the course of this one. Just need to remain patient, remain in the race. Up towards turn 1, Crichton has pulled away a smidgen, and I mean a smidgen. Oh, but I don't think he got a great run there. Interval says otherwise. He got a perfectly good run. I couldn't quite tell. It looked like his car lost control there at turn 1, but evidently it's just my eyes deceiving me. Through turn 5, 40 will open DRS and close the gap once again, but you can see not using any battery. He's in conservation mode. He doesn't want to attack. He just wants to apply pressure, try and make Crichton create a mistake, essentially. GeForce Leo, setting a new fastest lap of 40.5, is at Kush, minding his business in P3. Plebs and ACW, these two next to each other again. I made the comment in in Elite, I should say. These two have magnets to each other. They can't help but be on the same patch of racetrack. And usually what happens is that the two collide. So, message to both of you fellas, if you're listening, don't crash into one another, please. Let's try and break a trend rather than just continue to add to it. 10 Sandals P6, then Spilly in 7th, then Eye Contrast in 8th. 6 seconds back, 6.5 seconds back is Wogboy. He has Grimmy and Bags Liddell for company. But neither of them are really in a position to try and attack. Meanwhile, 40, he must have made a mistake somewhere because he's now 1.1 seconds behind GeForce Crichton. So through that third sector, maybe has a get... Oh, hello. Luke has had a moment at turn 9. Gets pointed back in the right direction and gets going again. My guess, maybe lost it at 17. That corner, that particular corner at turn 17 is quite nasty. It's got this really awkward inside curb, and if you run over the middle of it, the car becomes beach. You basically skid the floor over it. And there's a good chance you can understeer into the barrier on the outside. That would be my guess, because that tends to be the corner that catches drivers out. But he's now 1.2 seconds behind, and it's not going to be easy to try and get back within that 1 second range. Got awfully close to the barrier there on the outside of turn 9. These drivers are awfully friendly with the barriers. Kind of nerve-wracking and very impressive at the same time. Because if I get that close, I freak out and just put it into the wall anyway. Through the chicane of 11 and 12, over the Anderson Bridge, and into the hairpin of turn 13. Spilly closing in bit by bit. Didn't get the best of exits though there. Sort of had to turn out of the corner. Yellows, it's Luke retiring in pit lane. He's had enough for the day. He's called it quits, so we're down to 18 cars. Yeah, Spilly had a crack at the apex there, and he had to turn out of the steering and have another go. Subsequently, he lost himself about a tenth or so to 10 Sandals. Thanks to that. Crichton's pulling away too. Look at that, 1.4 seconds. So, Sadie's driver getting the hammer down. Pulling away from 40. 40, is he using battery to try and respond? Yeah, he was using battery there. At the exit of turn 3, was Luke's car's going to be out in the middle of the racetrack, just causing a major distraction. Rear wing damage. Thank you very much for telling us, Luke. Really sorry. What happened to you then? Getting rear wing damage. Because you can't come back from that. It's completely unrepairable. So, yeah. And around the racetrack like this, where you have a hard enough time with the car under traction, under acceleration, yeah, having a damaged rear wing would just be a total nightmare, so I don't blame you. Yeah, I'd imagine. So, and I wouldn't doubt, Gavin, from that start that we had, there was a lot of drivers involved in that messy start, so. ACW still behind players, so these two are fairly even in terms of pace. ACW hasn't made any inroads on Plebs, but Plebs hasn't been able to pull away. 10 Sandals, meanwhile, still has Spilly and Eye Contrast for company. Wogboy in P9, still with Grimmy for company. Bags is there or thereabouts. He's about a second behind now. He needs to get back within that 1 second range. Cannot afford to lose DRS. Quite a powerful thing in this game, especially on high downforce racetracks, where the car's punching a massive hole in the air thanks to the tall wings. Well, Tent has pulled a bit of a gap to Spilly. Gap's now 9.5 tenths. Spilly still within the second, so he'll get DRS down this straight, but Tent has the opportunity to try and build some time through this opening section. Try and get a second over Spilly here. Comes out of turn 3. Now Spilly's got this covered. Got a nice run through the opening 3 turns. Kept up with Tent. So he stays within that 1 second range. Meanwhile, speaking of a 1 second range, 40 is almost back within it. But he's spent a fair bit of battery. He's down to 8%. Crichton, meanwhile, not faring much better. Down at 6%. This is rather typical of Zach. We made mention of this in previous races. He likes spending battery. Sort of a trademark of his. Spend it now, worry about it later. That's sort of his mentality. It's 40. Did he get DRS there? No, he didn't. I thought he might have got within that 1 second range at the DRS protection zone going over the bridge, but evidently he wasn't close enough. Got no DRS. No, 40's chipping away at the gap. The race is back on between these two. Not over yet. Not anywhere near over. Is that? Having a nice little drive in his home city. Minding his business. Plevs still has ACW behind, but look at 10 closing in bit by bit. Last time I checked, they were about 1.7 seconds apart, the two Aston Martins. It's now 1.2. So 10 has got some nice speed in that car. Seems that Plevs might have a little bit more pace compared to ACW. ACW losing time. He does have battery though to spend. ACW. Quite a considerable difference between the height of the front wing, isn't there? Down that straightaway. Just sort of popped into my mind. Look at the front wing on the Alpine, then you look at the front wing on the Aston. Two completely different philosophies there. Alpine's right on the ground. ACW probably as far off the ground as it could be. Well, never really popped into my mind. But there you go. Just an interesting little tidbit. Top two now separated by 0.6 of a second as they go over the bridge up towards turn 13. Brings it down to third gear, down to second gear. Goes G-force forward, short shifting to third, short shifting to fourth. Yellow flags are out. I think it's vision. It is. Spinning out at turn 5, dropping down to P17. Meanwhile, Crichton will have his hands full now. 40 back within that 1 second range. And how hard will 40 drive? That's the question. Will he want to try and get in front of Crichton, or will he try and continue to play that longer game that he was doing earlier? Through turns 20 and 21, the gap's now 0.6. Oh, right up towards the wall. That's just... Yeah, no, I can't do that. I don't have enough faith in myself to do that. Down the main straightaway, it's now lap 11 of 31. We've just crossed over the 1/3 mark of this race. 1/3. We got a long way to go. Up towards turn 5. Half a second separating these two now. 40 with DRS. Does he use his battery? No is the answer. Crichton doesn't use his battery either. So 40 will just continue to chip away at this gap and try and put himself in a nice strong position to try and make a move on his championship rival. Is that now 9 seconds behind? The top two are in a class of their own at the moment. They are well and truly flying out there. Plevs, P4, ACW. Still keeping up with Plevs. And 10 Sandals has dropped back now. Gap's now 2.4 seconds. So strange. He was 1.2 behind ACW and now it's doubled. So, evidently, Plevs and ACW have found pace. Or 10 has dropped pace. Don't know. It's very strange. It seems that Spicy and Karma are battling. Hello, side by side, up towards turn 8. Karma on the outside, Spicy on the inside. Spicy gets in front into P15. That is the final point scoring spot. Sector 2 yellows, that is a Red Bull. It's Grimmy. Spinning out, and that is a damaged front wing. A missing front wing at that. No virtual safety car, all safety car deployed. But Grimmy will have to come... Yep. He'll have to come in and get that fixed. Yeah, that is quite literally undrivable with the front wing missing. Top two, meanwhile, separated by 4/10. Little bit of battery deployment there from Ford. Trying to set up a run out of turn 3. Around turn 5, opens DRS. Yellows are out again. It's Grimmy again. Going straight on, I guess, at turn 18. As 40 doesn't get close enough to attack. It most certainly does, Gavin. This track bites. And it bites harder than most. Especially with it being a street circuit. And it's such a long race. And it's a race where you need to stay 100% focused. Because if you make even the slightest mistake, you're in the wall. And there's a fair chance that you're out of the race as well. It is a proper test of endurance. And you think about what the drivers have to go through in real life. Like, they're going through what these guys are going through mentally anyway. Trying to battle one another, trying to keep the car on the racetrack and not in the wall. Yet, they've got to deal with stupid humid conditions for twice as long. Like, this race is quite literally insane. It is a proper endurance test. Race is so long, in fact, that the real life race didn't do the required number of laps. They had to go to time certainty for the real life race here at Marina Bay, where we saw Sergio Perez take another win this season, becoming sort of a street circuit specialist, winning at Baku, Monaco, and here now at Singapore. Just needs to win at, I guess, Jeddah and Australia. Complete the set. Up towards turn 7, 40 closing in, running out of battery, darts back onto the racing line. He knows he's not close enough to attack. Up towards turn 8, he's close, but again, not close enough. He's just going to try and apply pressure to Crichton here. Through turn 9, up towards the Singapore sling. 40 applying pressure, but Crichton's holding firm. He doesn't succumb too often to pressure, Crichton. Neither does 40, to be fair. These two right at the top of their game. Is that minding their business? Plevs closing in, I think, at 1.8 seconds. So I think Plevs is finding time. Closing in on Isaac Kush. ACW hovering behind still. 10 Sandals and P6. He's gained a bit of time. A tenth or two. So yeah, the pace is fluctuating quite a bit between some of the drivers. It's a bit interesting to watch. Oh, through the chicane as Leo overtakes Wobboy. That was at turn 14. So through goes Leo into P9. Ford closing in with DRS up towards turn 1. It's now lap 14 of 31. We've got 18 laps to go. We've got a long way to go. You can see between the two drivers. Oh, is that pits? Gonna get off the hard compound tyre and switch to what exactly? Mediums, I guess? Heard that the mediums can go a healthy distance. Front wing change as well. That might explain a bit of the pace drop. On they go, and away he leaves. So he has to do more than 50% of the race on those tyres. Be interesting to see how that goes down for Izzet. Might need to rely on a safety car coming out at some stage. Spilly still hovering behind Tent, who has got heaps of battery. 75% going through turn 9. Tent has done a remarkable job saving up his resources. Spilly typically is a driver who's also incredibly good at saving up resources. He hasn't saved anywhere near as much as Tent. ACW sitting in the slipstream of the car in front. He's able to save up a bit of battery. Plevs not so much, sitting on 20%. And the top two, they have spent all of theirs. They're using every bit of resources they have right now in this battle at the front. Through turns 20 and 21. Up towards the final two corners. Again, 40, I don't think he's close enough to challenge the race leader. Crichton realistically needs to make a small mistake. He just needs to lose traction at one corner. And that will create an opening for Ford to try and get through. You can see the two drivers taking two very different lines there at turn 3. Crichton tends to take the apex early. Meanwhile, with Ford, he sort of continues to turn at turn 2 to try and open up turn 3 as much as he can. Couple of drivers in as well. So Spilly onto a set of mediums. By contrast, he'll move on to a set of hard tyres. 40 close, but not close enough again. He is still behind G-Force Crichton. ECW still on the back of Plevs. Up towards turn 8. 3.5 tenths separating these two cars. Plevs just needs to keep his eyes forward, not worry too much about the car behind. Although with the history that these two have, I reckon he might be a little bit worried of the car behind. Leo minding his own business in P6. He's P3 in the championship and he's looking for results to try and revive his championship hopes. There is no doubt in my mind that GeForce Leo is... He's got the pace to be in the championship fight. But he's either just gotten into very bad luck or he's made a mistake here or there and sort of cost him a chance of a result. More often than not, though, it just tends to be he gets caught up in other people's mistakes. Into the pits goes Ford. He darts in. And I'm pretty certain he didn't cross the white line either. He was very forceful on the turn in. He's going to try and undercut Crichton here. Up go the jacks, on go the mediums, and away he leaves. So Crichton, he's getting on the go button. He's using ERS. He's pushing. He knows he needs to push. 40, he does need to be a little bit careful. Those tyres are going to be cold. So he just needs to take it easy, try and find the grip, get the tyres up to temperature, then try and push. Push too early. The car can lose control and you can end up in the barrier pretty easily. Isaac Kush sets a new fastest lap, a 39.8. As ACW in pit lane, he's coming out, I believe, on a set of medium compound tyres. Crichton making his way through this S section over the Anderson Bridge and into the hairpin of turn 13. Second gear, not bothering to short shift there, Crichton. Utilising second gear to pretty much full effect. He goes into turn 14. I wonder what these fellas will do as well, like Plebs and Tent Sandals. Do they try and stretch this stint out on the hard compound tyre? Maybe try and gamble for a safety car period at some point? For Crichton, he needs to react, I think, to 40. And judging by his battery use, I reckon he is reacting. Yes, he's coming in. Nice and comfortable on the entry, not overshooting it, not overdoing it. And a set of medium tyres will be at the ready. Up go the jacks. On go the mediums. Away he leaves. Where's Ford? He's coming around turns 20 and 21. This is one of those critical phases of the race. This can dictate the race, in fact. Especially around a track like this. Where is Crichton? There he is there. Just coming out of the pits around turn 140's got him. And got him by some margin. Crichton has been done. The Ferrari master strategy has worked. So 40 now is in the provisional race lead. And he's going to pull away from Crichton too. Crichton needs to get those tyres up to temperature. And Leo, he's within a second. Will he try and challenge Crichton? I really don't think he would want to on those tyres. I reckon he'll just try and keep up with Crichton. Try and make the most of what he has left with those old medium compound tyres. Isaac Kush, Hillez and Ferrari Pro. Ferrari Pro on old mediums. Trying to find a way by Hillez down the straightaway towards turn 10. Can't do it here, I'm afraid. Section too fast, too tight to try and pass. Over the bridge. You can try and set up a pass here though at 13. It doesn't go for the move though. Stays behind Ferrari Pro. Onto the straightaway with DRS open, heading up towards turn 14. Ferrari Pro closing in, but not by enough to try and send it down the inside. He stays behind for now. ACW following suit with Spilly in hot pursuit as well. So we've got a 4-car train battling for P7 on track. With Hillez at the front of the choo-choo train. as 10th Sandals gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. This train's starting to bunch up now. All of these drivers getting very close to one another as 40 sets a new fastest lap with a 39.3. Into the pits goes Gilles. That releases Ferrari Pro. But ACW, he's now in a position to try and attack. Not here at turn 1, but probably more critically turn 7. Through 1, into 2, and around turn 3. Look how much he closes in there. Up towards turn 5. Important that you get a nice run here through turn 5. ACW does exactly that. Oh, almost putting it into the wall. Here he goes. Get Ferrari Pro pretty easily down the inside of turn 7. Not much the Williams driver can do about that. ACW into 7th. Now Spilly closing in. He would want to get by Ferrari Pro as soon as possible. Try and battle ACW if he could. Is that Kush on the back of GeForce Wogboy. He's going to try and find a way round as soon as possible. Over the bridge. Into the hairpin at turn 13. As 40 gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Chip has retired in the pit lane. And here comes Isaac Kush on GeForce Wogboy. Into P5 he goes. Vision gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings too. But that is crucial. That is a very crucial piece of information that's just been given to us. GeForce Ford, our provisional race leader, has got a 3-second time penalty. As Crichton, in response to that, sets a new fastest lap with a 39 flat. That's not a sight you want to see if you're GeForce Ford. First the penalty, and then that fastest lap, because you know the guy behind, he's coming. Into the pits goes Wogboy, and he'll be moving on to a set of medium compound tyres from the looks of things. High contrast. He now moves into the top 10, but he does have Spicy closing in. Fortunately for him, Spicy's on 15 lap old medium, so he'll have to pit again at some point. Ferrari Pro now has his hands full with 10th Sandals. He'll be closing in at quite a rapid rate on those fresh tyres. Spilly, I'm sure he's hoping to try and catch up to ACW, but that gap is a bit big at 1.7 seconds. Crichton now has to try and find a way by Plevs here. DRS open for Crichton closing in, but not by enough. 40 needs to use Plevs as a bit of a pick to try and build the gap to his rival. Round turn 15 into 16 and 17. Unfortunately for Crichton, even though he's got pace, can't really find a way by here. You have to stay behind and be awfully patient. You cannot afford to rush a pass like this. Plebs, what does he do? Oh, Jesus. Bit of lag there. Pleb stays out for another lap. And here comes Crichton. Down the inside into turn 1. Plebs can't put up any sort of resistance. Ooh, that was lag again. It's not a sight you want to see. So the gap, 3.1 seconds. Is this going to be a time trial duel between these two guys? 40 needs to push. Like Schumacher qualifying push. He cannot let Crichton get within that 3-second range. Crichton needs to do the exact opposite of that by pushing like hell to close the gap to Ford. This is going to be fascinating between the top two. Who's got the quicker car? Who's more willing to put it all on the line? That is the question. Plebs, he'll have to pit at some point soon. Those tyres look shocking. Lots of understeer, not a great deal of traction. You see there on the telemetry how long he had to wait to get to full throttle. He had to wait a while there. Yeah, his tyres are shot to bits. He needs to pit, and pit now. And it seems that 10th Sandals has overtaken Ferrari Pro as well, so Ferrari Pro down to 9th. Still trying to soldier on those tyres, but they're certainly feeling the burden now after 16 laps. He will have to pit very soon. Crichton's lost time to the race leader. The gap now 3.4 seconds between the top two. 40's pushing the limits here to try and build up that gap. Crichton, can he respond? Needs to find just a few tenths to get within 3 seconds. That's all he needs to do. Doesn't need to close up fully. Just needs to get within 3 seconds. 40 will be well aware of that. Yellow flags are out. It's the Mercedes-Benz of Hillez spinning at turn 17. It's pointed back in the right direction. Gets going, but he's down in 15th position. The final point scoring spot. Looking at the intervals as well, this is the only battle we have. This sort of time trial battle between 40 and Crichton. Who can set the faster lap times between these two guys? With this sort of battle, it's probably a decent idea to bring the lap data up. 1 minute 6.243 through the middle sector. 1 minute. It doesn't give it to me. Screw you, game. I'd like that information, please. I will definitely switched in time to see that piece of information, but no, you didn't give it to me. We'll see what the final lap times look like between both cars. Also try and keep an eye on the intervals, but at the moment everyone's pretty well spread out. No one's really in a position to try and battle. Around the final two corners and back onto the main straightaway. 40 sets at 39.8. Crichton meanwhile sets at 39.7. Crichton wins at the end of lap 21. Around turn 3, around turn 4, as Plevs finally pits in to get off those awful tyres, and it looks like he'll be moving on to a set of softs. That promotes Isaac Kush to P4, which I do believe will be provisional P3 once Leo pits. First sector says for Ford, 27.8. Crichton, meanwhile, 27.8 as well. Both drivers pretty even through the first sector. Around turn 9 goes G-Force Ford, using every millimetre of racetrack as he goes up towards turn 10, the infamous Singapore Sling. Used to be an incredibly nasty chicane on the original layout. A very nasty chicane that caught out several drivers during its time in real-life Formula 1. But fortunately, the track was redesigned in 2013. It was reprofiled, becoming what it is today. It's a much simpler, less terrifying section than what it once was. Through the cascade of 90s in this final sector, underneath the grandstand, around turn 19, up towards 20 and 21, you see they're short shifting between the gears, desperately trying to find traction. Golly, he gets close to the wall. Up towards the line, it's a 39.86. It's a 39.9. 40 wins lap 22. Builds a small gap over Crichton. It's now 3.4. Can Crichton respond on this lap? Meanwhile, Isaac Kush, he's closing in on Leo. There's not going to be much that Leo can do about this either. Look at the speed he's carrying down the main straightaway. He's going to have a go here into turn 1 and gets in front. Nice move. Credit to Isaac. Credit to Leo as well, leaving the room, not turning in at the apex, just letting it happen. But a nice move all round from Isaac Kush. He's into P3 as Ferrari Pro and Spicy pit in. Up towards the Singapore Sling, 7th gear, bringing it back down to 4th gear, clobbering that inside curb. Through turns 11 and 12, up towards turn 13, the hairpin. 2nd gear, it's important that you get a nice run out of this corner so you can maximise the speed down the straightaway towards turn 14. 1 minute 6.4, 1 minute 6.2. Crichton's found 2 tenths on G-Force Ford on this lap. Through the final sector, can 40 counter-attack here? Up towards turn 18, underneath the grandstand. 3rd gear, does he short shift? Yes, he does. Out of turn 19, up towards turns 20 and 21. 3rd gear again short shifting. Trying to find traction right up towards the wall. Fantastic stuff. 40. Vision's retired. He's crashed out at the sling. Does that bring out the safety car? Yes, it does. Another twist in the tail here at Singapore. And this is going to be a huge blow for G-Force Ford. This is something he really did not need. A late race safety car with a penalty next to his name, and his nearest rival has got nothing in terms of penalties. What a huge blow. They were trading lap times, but that has now come to an end. Yeah, I agree, Gavin. Everyone will be pitting for soft compound tyres. You must. An opportunity has come to put on fresh rubber. You got to take the opportunity. Everybody is going to come in, put on tyres. I think that was a front wing as well. Yeah, 10 sandals, front wing change. So he managed to get a little bit of damage. He's now got that fixed. Back out there again. Soft tyres for Bags Liddell. On they go away, he leaves. Ferrari Pro's already on soft tyres, so he doesn't need pit. Hill is in, soft tyres at the ready for him. Front wing change as well, question mark? No. Away he leaves. Grimming into the pits as well. Karma comes in too. He's on 3 lap old softs and might as well take the opportunity to come in. Top 2 will pit as well. They've got a huge gap to P3. Look at that, 43.3 seconds. So both drivers will pit. There's no question about it. So this is now just a sprint to the flag. Been an awfully long race here at Singapore, as it can be. But it seems like we have an opportunity to have an exciting finish. So I'm looking forward to this final stint of the race. Both of them onto soft compound tyres. It's just a sprint race to the flag now. The first and what should be the only safety car in this race, and it came on lap 24. There goes the Aston Martin. It's an Aston Martin, yeah? No, it's a Mercedes safety car here. I should have guessed that. That's exactly what Bernd Maitlander was driving at Singapore. Sergio Perez wasn't too happy with him. Pulled up alongside, gesturing how angry he was because of how slow he was driving. Maybe we might see that a bit again here as 40 sort of half pulls alongside. So, everyone's on fresh rubber. Don't need to worry about that. This is the important detail to keep an eye on for these remaining laps. 40 with 3 seconds. 10 sandals with 3 seconds. That's it in terms of time penalties. But we still got a few laps to go. There might be a few more. Yes, Mr. KD, a safety car. Came out thanks to a legitimate retirement from Vision, losing control. Looking at the minimap at the Singapore Sling at turn 10. So, Vision, unfortunately, our 4th retirement of the event. We're down to 16. And we're going to spend some time behind the safety car. So, I'll tell you what I'll do. Race director time. Yeah, I have to do this. It always backs out of race director for some reason. Right. So, 40. He's got... Ooh. View lap time, view profile, nice. It's a new little sub menu. There's the penalty he's got, and he's got 2 warnings on top of the penalty he already has. 40, you naughty boy. Well, he's sitting on 2 warnings now. There's a real chance he'll go to 6 seconds. Crichton, meanwhile, Jesus, he's got none. You're joking. Plevs, 2 warnings on 1 lap. That was on 22. Warning. 1 warning for... Is that? No warnings for Leo. Well done, Leo. ACW. Ah, he's a naughty boy. He's got a warning. Spilly. No warnings. Good lad. Eye contrast. No warnings. 10. Oh, he got a warning on the first lap. I have a feeling that's probably a severe collision warning. Second one, he's got a time penalty. Oh, I guess not. No. 3 warnings, time penalty, but he is sitting on 1 extra. 2 warnings for Ferrari Pro, as of now. Spicy with 2. Bags with 2. Wogboy with 2. A lot of 2s here. Hillaires with 1, 2, 3, but one of them must be severe collision. Because he's got 3 warnings. So that first one must be severe collision for what happened on the first lap. Grammy, 2 warnings next to his name, but one of them more than likely is severe collision. And Karma, warning, warning, as Bags left the session. Oops. Hopefully Bags can rejoin ASAP. Anything else in the race director that we can look at now that I think about it? I don't know, incidents. There's a jump start for Vision. It wasn't a great day for Vision. Jumping the start, basically having to recover after that, and he ultimately ended up in the wall. And yeah, it was a severe collision penalty for Hillaires, exceeding track limits on lap 1 for Ford. Terminal damage for GeForce Zach. We saw what happened at turn 5. Grimmy, Sandals, Ferrari. Yeah, a lot of extending. Not a surprise. Collision between Luke and Bags. I'm guessing that's the rear wing damage there, I would guess. Track limits, track limits. Crossing the pit lane exit white line. Track limits, track limits, track limits. Crossing the pit lane exit white line for Chip. Crossing the pit lane exit white line for Hillaires. Penalties, track limits, terminal damage. Right at the bottom. Safety car in this lap. Oh, what perfect timing. And quite right, Marco. It is a bit of a shame for Ford, but he knows what he needs to do from here on out. Needs to drive as if he's Michael Schumacher, pretty much. Not going to be easy to do, but you can see 40 slowing the field to a crawl as he goes around the final 2 corners to restart this race. It's now lap 27 of 31. It's 5 laps to go. And look at the drivers weave there, or at least the top 2 weaving, trying to get temperature into their tyres as they go through turns 1, 2, and 3. Up towards turn 4. The gap between the top 2, 7/10 of a second. 40, yeah. He's either 100% going to go for it or just basically get the white flag out now. And I reckon it might be the first. Oh, spinning in the background. It's Ferrari Pro and the Williams. Spinning out at turn 5, but unlike Zach, he didn't end up in the wall. He's still running. Plebs under pressure here, heading up towards turn 8. That's ACW. What happened here? He span out at the apex there. Interesting. Maybe got a helping hand at turn 7. Maybe. Is that Kush applying a lot of pressure here to Plebs? He's got a lot of pace in that Haas. Over the bridge into 13. Oh, is that having a look? Contact between the 2 cars. Izzat's car went into the wall briefly there. He might have got damage from that. I'm sure he won't be too pleased about it. He went for a gap. Plebs shut the door, put him into the wall, and now Leo on the recovery drive in P5. He has an opportunity to try and pass Izzat Kush. Around turn 17, clobbering the inside curb. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there on the exit too, as they head underneath the grandstand at 18, around turn 19. It appears Izzat is okay. He hasn't lost any pace from the looks of things. He's maintained the gap to Plebs. That's the important thing. 40, no surprises there, setting a new fastest lap. Spilly has got a train behind him. Eye Contrast, Spicy, and 10 Sandals. Here comes Eye Contrast with a whole heap of speed. Spilly tries to cover. Eye Contrast has a look, but doesn't fully commit to the move down the inside at turn 1. He stays behind the Red Bull in P7. Is that Kush? Closing in on Plebs. GeForce Crichton just trying to stay within a sec. He's already used all his battery. 40's still got about 22%. Crichton's dumped his. Plebs hanging on. Grimmy's overtaken Bags. Liddell. Is that Kush closing in bit by bit as they head around turn 8 up towards turn 9. This is Leo's opportunity to try and snag a 3rd place if he can. It won't be easy, though, to pass the two guys in front. They've got pace. And passing here at Singapore is just generally incredibly difficult. Through the chicane. Oh, bit of understeer there from Leo. He lost a considerable amount of time as well. As Spilly, he's got a train behind him. What's your tyre life? Same as everybody else's. Strange. Look at the train. He's got a long train behind him, but he's hanging on. That's a really important thing. Oh, a bit of a moment there from Bags Liddell in the background. Losing the back end at turn 14. But the Ferrari driver managed to gather it back up. Crichton using up his battery. All he needs to do is stay within 3 seconds. He knows that. 40 knows that. As DRS is now enabled. Leo. Oh, is that spun into the wall? He's in the wall. Front wing damage for the Haas driver. Oh, no. It looks like a podium finish was on the table for Izzat. But it appears he's thrown it away at turn 21. He flies into pit lane. He's retiring out of the race. We're down to 15 cars. Oh. Izzat, he will not be happy at all with that. And 40, well, that's the final nail in the coffin, isn't it? Another 3-second time penalty. Now, the really important thing for 40 now is keeping a 6-second gap to players. He would like to finish P2 as a minimum. And Plebs is currently holding P3, but he's got Leo right behind. What's happened? It's Spicy. What on earth has happened to Spicy? Spinning out at turn 8. He's now dropped down to 15th position. ACW on the back of Karma through the Singapore sling. Everyone's on the back of everyone through the Singapore sling. My goodness. High Contrast is now in front of Spilly. Spilly must have damage in that car. Only way you can explain it. Bags Liddell getting by 10 Sandals. There's Hillez now under pressure from the Ferrari driver. Looking around the outside at turn 14. Can't quite get it done. And here comes 10 Sandals with a run. He's now right up in behind the Ferrari as they go through turns 15, 16, then turn 17. Ferrari Pro with the 3-second time penalty down in 14th position. Not that it will affect him too greatly in this race. He'll either finish 14th or 15th. It's either 2 point or 1 point. That's it. So you won't be too concerned about that. 2 laps to go here at Singapore. We got a hell of a midfield battle going on, and I've got no idea where to look in this train. I'll keep my eyes towards the front of it. So I reckon this is where the action will most likely take place. Around turn 3, clobbering that inside curb. Hillez is trying to get a run. Oh, and Bags, he's made a mistake. 10 Sandals will get by, but Bags will try and fight back, will he? No, he doesn't. And Grimmy shoots on through around the outside. Nice move from him, as Hillez has crashed out. He has crashed at the exit of turn 5. He is out of the Singapore Grand Prix. We're down to 14. 40 hanging on to the lead. But he knows he will not hang on to it when they cross the finish line. Plebs hanging on to dear life here as Leo closes in, but not by enough. Down the straightaway towards turn 14. DRS open for Leo, and he's got battery 45% compared to a measly 10% for Plebs. Plebs on the back foot when it comes to battery. Through the final sector. Not the best of runs for Plebs. Leo closing in. Half a tenth here, half a tenth there. Applying pressure. Spilly in front of 10 Sandals. 10 on Spilly's gearbox. Unable to find a way by here, but he could try and create a pass into turn 1 if he really wants to go. Contact between the two cars there at turn 20. Up towards the final 2 turns on the racetrack. Spilly's got a bit of a margin in hand. Oh, but he understeers wide, horribly. And here comes 10 Sandals. Down the inside. Not much that Spilly can do about this. Through he goes into P6. Spilly down to 7th position. Leo on the attack. Using battery, using DRS. There's nothing that Plebs can do. Through goes Leo into P3. It's now a G-Force 1, 2, 3 here on the streets of Singapore. Spilly unable to counter-attack into turn 7. He must stay in P7. But all he needs to do is stay within 3 seconds of 10 and he will get P6. ACW and Karma. Karma going slowly. Karma dropping down to P13. Understeering as well. He might have damage in that Haas. I think he's missing an end plate on the left-hand side of that wing. Yeah, it looks pretty missing to me. Through the final sector for the final time. It's been a hell of a performance from the top two. These two guys have been in a class of their own. That, at the end of the day, only one of them can be crowned victor. 40 will cross the line, but victory will go to GeForce Crichton. He'll win the Singapore Grand Prix. GeForce Leo finishes in P3, completing the podium. Plebs P4, I contrast, round out the top 5. And Grimmy, he's encountered some sort of trouble. Karma's in the wall as well. Spinning his ACW at turn 18. My goodness. Oh, almost 3 wide at the line. As Wogboy will beat Spicy and Grimmy. By not much. Grimmy got caught in the walls there. At the end of the race. ACW, a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, whoops indeed, Banana. I'm being busy. Driver of the day, Dags Liddell. We'll see we'll see how his race went in the final results. Ah. Crichton, once again, into corridor of celebration. Or rather, lack of it. Another win in Pacific Tier 1. GeForce Ford has to accept second thanks to the time penalties. GeForce Leo finishing P3, making it GeForce 1, 2, 3. So, after a long night of racing, this is how the unofficial standings look. GeForce Crichton wins by 4.5 seconds over GeForce Ford thanks to time penalties. But 40, small little prize for him with fastest lap. Leo completing the podium places for McLaren. Nice recovery as well from him. Players P4, then I Contrast, Spilly, Bags 10. Wild Boy, Spicy, Grimmy, Ferrari Pro, Karma, ACW, Hillez, Isaac, Kush. Vision, Chip, Luke, and Zach retiring from the race. Now, Hillez should be classified. He is classified. So is Isaac Kush. He's classified 4 laps down. But it doesn't really matter. He finished P16 in the classification. So that's that will mean he won't score any points. I'll quickly go blue screen. I'll invite the top 3 in. And we'll have a little chat about what happened here in Singapore. I'll be back. Do 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 do. Boo boo doo boo doo doo boo boo boo. Boo doo boo doo boo doo boo 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 doo boo boo. Now, seeing as they're all GeForce drivers, they should be all nice and in a row. But of course, Crichton's not online. For crying out loud, he's never online. Why do I have so many friends either? Alrighty, I'll get the top 3 in. I'll also check the audio levels just to make sure it's all okay. Hello, you two. Hello, hello. Just checking your audio levels as well. Hello, Leo, as well. Right, yep. Interview time. So, again, thank you to all 3 of you for joining me here alone for this one. So, no Pato. But that's okay. But, we'll start from third. We'll make our way up per the norm. So we'll start with you, Mr. Leo. You had a pretty up and down race, didn't you?
Yeah, it was not a bad race because I managed to recover, but yeah, I just got damage on lap 1 and the safety car kind of saved me, but yeah, it wasn't a great race.
No, at one point it was looking another tough one for you, but yeah, the late race safety car really did come in clutch for you. But first off, how was qualifying for you?
Yeah, quality, it wasn't too bad. It's another one of those qualities, like, just a bit tentative, and I didn't get everything out of it.
Yeah.
I haven't really had a great quality since Belgium, to be honest. It's been kind of the same ever since then, but it's still P4, but you know, just got damage on lap 1, and I was just kind of hoping for a safety car the whole time. I couldn't believe it when it came out.
Yeah, you would think at that sort of stage of the race, you would just think, right, this is it, this is all I've got. And then luck suddenly comes into your favour, and you make the most of it. But
yeah, it was really good.
So what exactly happened on lap 1 to you?
Oh, I just overcorrected I had a slide, overcorrected it, and went into the wall. Like the second to last corner. I think it's just a silly mistake.
I see. Yeah, fair enough. No, that was a fairly hectic lap 1. Tried to capture it as much as I could. Unfortunately, your buddy Kiefer Zach put it into the wall at turn 5. Lost it there on the opening lap. Quite a sight to see, actually, from the camera angle I had. But, yeah, no. How was that final stint of the race as well, hopping onto the soft tyre? Was it just go for it and see what you can get?
Yeah, exactly. It was a bit annoying because I think Plebs was on older tyres, and then like we got stuck behind him a bit, and then I knew 40 had a penalty, so I was like, I wanted to try and stay with him.
Yeah.
That gap, but that didn't really work out. And then Izat spun, which kind of helped me a lot because I don't think I would be able to get past him. To be honest, in a third man Darius train,
it's tough at the back. You just can't really do anything when you're stuck there. So, but yeah, no. Did he just lose it coming out of turn 21? Is that all?
Another one of his spins. He always just loses it on traction.
Yeah, just I saw the end of it, and yeah, he wasn't too pleased with himself retiring out of the race. But yeah, no, you must be pretty relieved then for a podium place finish.
Well, I didn't lose as many points as I thought I would, so I'm happy with that.
But yeah, no, not much else to talk about, I guess. I think we all covered it on your end. Next week, though, we're heading over to Suzuka. How do you feel heading into next week?
I haven't really driven that track that much. It's quite a fun track. It's very tricky though. Like touch curb and you just go on basically. But I think it should be fun.
And best of luck then for next week. But for now, congratulations on your recovery to P3. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Now for you two. We'll start with you, 40. P2 at the end of that one. I bet you're not happy with it. Bored? Yeah, he's really not happy with it.
Yeah, he's not happy with it.
He's really not happy with it. The silence is deafening.
You there?
Hello.
There we go. Tough on the cop.
P2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Just, not what you were wanting, was it?
No, I mean, I don't think too many things went my way that race. Besides the strategy, really, that was about it. But
well, I was going to mention that in a future question, but for now, qualifying. How did that go for you? P2 at the end.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing. I was about 3/10 off my PBs from practice. Pretty much had a really good lap hooked up until underneath the grandstand section. I just bottomed out on the curb and lost about 1/10.5 going into the last two corners. So yeah, I knew I had it in me, but yeah, at the end of the day, I didn't get it.
Yeah, just missing out at the end. I think by 600ths by the end of qualifying. But
yeah, it's close.
P2 start, you got a nice start, didn't quite jump Crichton, but you two just sort of took off after the start. Then you engaged in battle. You went for an audacious move at turn 8. Could you tell? Like, you went for the send at 7 and tried to get it done at 8.
Yeah, I guess have to be on your toes. You know, and around Singapore, you've got to take the chances when they come up. Yeah, I got a bit unlucky at lap 1. The VSC came out as we were side by side heading into turn 7. So again, yeah, it's just small things like that that are frustrating. But if I put it on pole, I wouldn't have these issues. So it falls back on my shoulders anyway.
Oh, it hurts to hear you say that. But no, you two had a nice little battle going on, and it turned your way with a brilliant strategy call at about lap 15-16.
Yeah,
dove it into the pits. My goodness.
15. I wasn't sure if the undercut was quicker or not. I just thought that around here the tyres heat up pretty quickly and it's one lap. So
yeah,
I was hoping that I could go in before Zach did. I saw Zach went in quite early, so yeah, I knew that mediums could go for a while. And yeah, I reckon only one lap difference in them, it's not really going to have a massive effect on performance come down in the race. So yeah, it was disappointing the safety car came out because that gap was basically staying level throughout that whole stint, which yeah, it hurt. They were pretty much quality laps, and I'm sure Zach was driving best he could as well. But yeah, when something like that happens, there's nothing I can do really. The penalties were tight. I was just over the line, but yeah, if that's how you have to drive, I guess.
Well, I made mention of that during that phase where you two were separated by just over 3 seconds. I kept a lap data up and I kept tally of who was winning which laps. Because you two were insanely tight during that period. It
was dead even, yeah. It's would have been interesting if that penalty wasn't there and we were in DRS together at the end of the race. I think that would have made it really interesting, but yeah. Not much we can do now, unfortunately. P2, I guess, damage limitation, I thought it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Come the end of the race after that safety car, but yeah, our pace, I guess, was just completely different to the rest of the field today.
Yeah, no, you put it together at the end of the session. You pulled away from Zach. Zach had to dump all his battery to try and get back within a second of you. But yeah, you two had just sort of had the pace over the field throughout that whole race. And yeah, you really were in a class of your own out there. So you should take some pride from that you two were literally miles ahead of everybody else tonight. So should take a little bit of credit from that.
It was, yeah, our pace is there. I definitely think my pace is there. I just got to start turning them into better results, I think. Yeah. I guess at least, yeah, P2 is not the worst result at the end of the day, but especially when you come across the line first and you don't actually end up there, it hurts even more.
Yeah. Well, speaking of turning results around, let's have a look at next week, because we're heading over to Suzuka. How do you feel heading into the Japanese Grand Prix?
I know Zach's good there as well. It should be interesting. I haven't driven many laps around Suzuka on this game, so I have no idea how it feels at the moment, but yeah, I'm sure chuck a bit of practice in there, see what happens, I guess. Yeah, hopefully a win, I think it's important. So, yeah, yeah, try to get some better results on the board.
Hey, chin up, man. You just sound full of pressure right
tough,
now.
Man. It was a long race. It was, yeah.
It is.
Driving 40 laps every lap, so, yeah, I don't know who had it worse, myself or the real life drivers.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, chin up. Best of luck for next week. But for now, take some congratulations for your P2 finish tonight at Singapore.
No, thank you. Cheers.
We'll move on to our race winner. Zach, you've done it again.
We have, and we're sick again.
And you're still sick.
So yeah, let's go.
Mate, this one COVID.
Yeah.
This isn't just long. This is very
extremely. Yeah, no, not ideal. That's for sure. Makes it hard.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine. Still put the thing on pole though.
Yeah, the lap was kind of nice. I'd say there was another 10th in it and stuff. I'd say same as Bailey, but yeah, the pacing quality was super hot. Like, I feel like my lap wasn't really that bad as well. I'm sure that you saw some parts of it maybe, but
I think
she was
bit
pretty.
Of the middle sector, a bit of the final sector, I think.
Yeah, she was pretty hooked up there, so I can't really complain. And what's that first pole for me for the season, which is a fair while. I'd say compared to last season, but it's not like I'm lacking pace. It's just that the boys have been really good in quali, and yeah, they've just pit me.
But no, you put it on pole. Nice start from you as well. Held the lead into turn 1. Held the lead for some time. You and Bailey had that bit of a battle at 7 and 8. You saw him coming though. You left him.
Yeah, and stuff. I saw him coming, but I knew hopefully on trash that I should be able to hold it, in which I did. So I wasn't too worried. Just as long as I gave just enough room, I thought I should be able to hang on to that, which we were. I think twice Bailey tried, but we were just lucky to hang on there. But I'd say our pace was very similar. Like, I'd say the car ahead probably would have held on to that the whole race, I reckon. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good fun.
But I bet you were pretty crook with yourself though after what happened in the pit lane.
What? Just pitting one lap too late, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned, and then I kind of came out, and then Bailey was 3 seconds up the road, and I was like, alright, Zach, you're going to have to try and push it. Yeah, and that's what I did. I think the gap was around 3 seconds, and I managed to get it down to 2.1, and I was like, alright, here we go, I'll just slowly chip away here. And then I come up across the slow plebs on old hards.
Yeah, it increases the gap.
Oh
again.
god, and I lost over a second. I'm like, here we go. I just didn't need to try this much harder because I think Bailey had the 3 seconds at that stage, so I was kind of just going to slowly creep up on him.
Yeah.
But that gap went back to 3.4, and then I was kind of where it just stayed around 3.1, 3.2 until that safety car.
Yeah, no, that was a bit of your lucky break. Wasn't it? To bunch the field up and to ultimately sort of end 40's chances of a win. Because all you had to do at that point is stay behind and be conservative, and it looked like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was doing the whole race. I was just trying to manage myself, got no warnings and stuff, which I usually do, so I was trying to be very consistent, just hit my marks, don't spin. Yeah, exactly. Don't spin up the rears, hit my marks. And yeah, I have to say, like, the rest of the field was appalling tonight. Like, I don't know, just the gap is ridiculous, you know? Like, we could have spun and I don't know, probably just, I don't even know, but yeah, they were just so far behind. It just, you know, if you make a mistake, you can, I guess, just get away with it. So hopefully those boys can find a bit more pace for later in the season and close up.
Hopefully it's just sort of a Singapore anomaly, because it is a tough racetrack. It's probably one of the toughest ones on the calendar. So. Yeah,
like even the last 5 laps, I think myself and Bailey had like 7-8 seconds or something on the field.
That's probably thanks to Plevs as well on old trying to manage those tyres.
Yeah,
he was sort of holding up both Izzat and Leo, who definitely had pace.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I think that's 2 wins in a row now, so hopefully we can keep that form as well. And a shout out to Leo and Bailey as well, that we locked out the podium. So let's go, boys.
Yeah, GeForce 1, 2, 3. Must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it looks very good on the results table.
It does.
So not complaining.
But next week, Zach, we're moving over to Japan. Suzuka Circuit.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I think I'm known as being a bit of a Suzuka special, but that was a long time ago. Now I'd say it's all very even field going to there, so you'll have to wait and see. I think I won a couple there in the past, and I think most poles, but again, I'm not really sure. Same as Bailey, haven't really done laps there before, so I don't know. We'll see. It's a really fun track, and I'd say more like a driver's track, so should be fun.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing all 3 of you during qualifying. Yeah. Because I imagine you'd be setting pretty freaking rapid lap times. But no, thank you to all 3 of you for joining me here in the comms box, and thank you, Zach, as well. Oh, and congratulations to you on your victory, 2nd victory in a row.
Thanks, mate.
But I think, chat, this will wrap everything up. A long night. Didn't help with the technical issues at the very beginning, but we got there. Man, you need to get well.
I know, it's no good.
Too long with a cold, man.
Yeah, I know. I should probably go to the doctor, shouldn't I, Lane?
Oh, you need to do something. I don't
I
know.
know, it makes uni work hard too, I can tell you that.
I wouldn't be surprised. Mixing all this up with league racing, yeah, great fun.
Yeah.
But, no, I think with the race finally over, it's time for us to end the stream. I've been LaneEveringham. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 7 of the championship at Suzuka Circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.